They're invisible, sometimes silent, sometimes subtle, and yet they can break everything. Your thoughts, your memories, your very essence. The brain, this 3-pound organ, is the cornerstone of everything we are. One wrong move, one violent impact, and it can all fall apart. In today's video, we'll dive deep into the most notorious brain disorders ever to have been unleashed or imagined. From a mild concussion to life-altering degenerative diseases, we'll explore how these invisible forces scar not only the body, but our very history. So, what happens when the most complex organ in the body turns against itself? Let's find out. Level 1. It starts small, not with death, but with panic. A knock, a jolt, a bump to the head, a mild concussion or mild traumatic brain injury, MTBI, is the first warning sign. You don't lose consciousness. You don't even feel the full weight of it at first. But something's wrong. You feel dazed. Your thoughts are foggy. You might even see stars. For a brief moment, it feels like everything around you is spinning, disconnected. The brain has been shaken, and while the symptoms may seem trivial, the damage is done. Neurons stretch. Chemical imbalances begin. Your body's internal balance is thrown off. It's easy to dismiss as nothing serious. But don't be fooled. The effects of even a mild concussion can linger. The real danger is not in one concussion, but in multiple. One hit weakens the brain's defenses. Repeated hits, especially close together, can lead to more serious, long-term damage. Think of the brain as a glass. Level 1 is the first crack. It's still holding together, but it's weakened. Stress in the same spot risks shattering it. Level 1 doesn't seem so dangerous until you realize that no brain injury is truly mild. Level 2. The fog deepens. A slight bump becomes a looming cloud of confusion. The ringing in your head gets louder. The headache intensifies. This is where the injury crosses from mild into moderate. Unconsciousness may last up to 30 minutes. You might lose track of time. Memory gaps become more pronounced. You may forget things that happened only moments before the incident. In short, your brain is no longer functioning the way it should. What was once a fleeting moment of dizziness now stretches into full-blown confusion. And while you can recover from a moderate concussion, it's not as simple as just shaking it off. Neurons inside the brain are strained, blood flow is disrupted. The damage is more significant than the mild jolt of level 1. This is the danger zone. Recovery takes time. The longer the brain is under duress, the harder it becomes to return to normal. But even with a moderate concussion, the effects can last far longer than you expect. Symptoms can linger for weeks or even months. It's not just the initial impact, it's the toll it takes on the brain over time. And remember, one moderate concussion increases the risk of future brain injuries. The more the brain is exposed to trauma, the more fragile it becomes. Level 3. Now the storm arrives. It's no longer just dizziness. It's a full-scale disaster inside your mind. A severe concussion is a true nightmare. The brain has taken a blow so hard that it struggles to function. Unconsciousness can last for hours. When you wake, you may be disoriented. Memory loss extends beyond the moment of injury. The mind is broken, and it doesn't heal easily. Your thoughts are a jumbled mess. You may not even recognize familiar faces. Speech may become slurred. Your body feels detached, as if it no longer obeys your commands. The injury doesn't stop at the moment of impact. It leaves a trail of damage in its wake. Neurons are torn. Blood vessels inside the brain can rupture, causing bleeding. This isn't just about the brain being shaken anymore. This is about your brain's internal structure breaking down. The recovery process is long and painful. Even after the initial trauma subsides, the brain may continue to struggle to find its balance. Think of it as a computer that has experienced a catastrophic crash. It can be rebooted, but the system will never be quite the same. And sometimes the damage is permanent. Permanent memory loss, chronic headaches, emotional instability. Level 3 is where the line between recoverable and life-altering is blurred. And here's the horrifying truth. The brain never fully returns to its original state after this kind of trauma. Level 4. Now imagine a force so powerful that it ruptures blood vessels inside your brain. Brain bleeds, also called intracranial hemorrhages, happen when blood vessels inside the brain tear or burst, filling the brain with blood. The result? Pressure builds inside the skull, pushing against brain tissue. This pressure causes damage that can be deadly. The symptoms? A sudden, excruciating headache, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, confusion, seizures, loss of consciousness. A brain bleed is the silent killer. You might not feel it coming. You might think it's just a headache, but soon the pressure inside your skull becomes too much to handle. Without immediate medical intervention, brain bleeds are often fatal. The damage is so severe that the brain can no longer function. The body starts to shut down. Unlike a concussion, which may allow time for recovery, a brain bleed is quick and unforgiving. In some cases, the brain can repair itself if the bleed is minor, but more often than not, the damage is irreversible. The worst part? You can't always predict when it's going to happen. A blow to the head, a car accident, or even a simple fall can trigger a brain bleed. And if you don't act fast, it's too late. Level 4 is the moment where the brain's fragility becomes a matter of life and death. Level 5. It's unpredictable. It strikes without warning. One moment, you're fine, and the next, your entire body is being seized by an invisible force. This is epilepsy, a condition where the brain's electrical system goes rogue, sending chaotic signals across the brain, leading to seizures. Seizures can vary dramatically. They can be as subtle as a brief lapse in consciousness, where the world blurs for a split second, or as violent as full-body convulsions. But no matter the severity, epilepsy is terrifying because of its unpredictability. You never know when it will strike. You could be in the middle of a conversation, walking down the street, or even asleep when it happens. At its core, epilepsy is a disruption in the brain's normal electrical activity. Neurons misfire, and the resulting electrical storms cause disorientation, loss of control, and often physical injury. Some seizures last only a few seconds, but others can go on for minutes. It doesn't end when the seizure stops. For many, the aftermath is just as debilitating. Confusion, fatigue, and disorientation linger long after the storm has passed. The brain is exhausted from trying to maintain control, and the more seizures someone experiences, the more likely they are to develop permanent cognitive and physical impairments. In many ways, epilepsy is a constant reminder that the brain is a fragile system. When the electrical circuits malfunction, everything can fall apart in an instant. What's terrifying about epilepsy is that even with medication and treatment, it remains largely unpredictable. There's no cure, and each episode is a reminder of the chaos that lies just beneath the surface. Level 6. Now imagine in the slowest and most heartbreaking way possible, your mind being erased. Not all at once, but in pieces, bit by bit, memory by memory. This is dementia. It's the silent thief of cognition, the condition that slowly robs you of the very essence of who you are. Dementia is a blanket term for a variety of cognitive impairments, but Alzheimer's disease is by far the most well-known and devastating. It starts with forgetfulness. You misplace your keys. You forget someone's name. At first, it's easy to dismiss. I'm just getting older, you think. But then it worsens. You can't remember where you live. You forget the faces of those you love. You don't recognize your own reflection. The damage starts in the brain's memory centers, where the neurons begin to die off and the connections between them break down. At first, it's mild, but over time, dementia erodes every part of your mental function. You forget how to speak. You forget how to eat. Eventually, you forget how to breathe. The most disturbing part of dementia is how it changes you from the inside out. The person you once were, your memories, your personality, your understanding of the world, gradually disappears. And for those watching, it's just as painful. The person they loved is still physically there, but mentally, they're slipping away. By the end stages, dementia often leads to complete incapacitation. There's no cure. Medications can help slow the progression, but the damage is permanent. It's the slowest, most tragic form of brain disorder, one that forces people to say goodbye to their loved ones, even while they're still physically present. Dementia shows us the brain's vulnerability in the most devastating way. It's not a sudden break. It's a long, slow collapse, a reminder that the mind can erode just as easily as it can build. Level 7. Now, imagine a different kind of destruction, one where the mind is still sharp, but the body refuses to obey. Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurodegenerative disorder that attacks the brain's motor control centers. What starts as a subtle tremor can soon evolve into full-blown paralysis, leaving the person unable to move their own limbs. It begins with the hands, a small tremor, barely noticeable. Then comes the rigidity, the stiffness. You notice it when you try to stand up or walk. Movement becomes difficult. Walking turns into shuffling. And soon even basic tasks, like brushing your teeth or eating, become impossible. Parkinson's disease attacks the dopamine-producing neurons in the brain. Dopamine is responsible for smooth, controlled movement, and without it, the body becomes a prisoner to itself. The disease doesn't just affect the muscles, it also causes mental fog, mood swings, and sometimes even depression. It's a disease that affects not only the body, but the mind as well. What makes Parkinson's so terrifying is how insidious it is. It starts small, almost unnoticeable. Then, over time, it slowly takes away your ability to do the things that once seemed so simple. There's no cure, no real treatment to reverse the damage. Medications can help manage the symptoms, but eventually, the disease wins. Parkinson's is a constant reminder that the brain doesn't just control your thoughts, it controls your entire body. And when the brain breaks down in this way, the entire body follows suit. Level 8. A stroke is a brain injury that doesn't ask for permission. One moment, you're fine. The next, your brain is being deprived of oxygen and nutrients. A stroke happens when the blood supply to the brain is interrupted, either by a blockage or a burst blood vessel. The result is catastrophic. When blood flow is cut off, brain cells begin to die. Without oxygen, they can't survive. The effects of a stroke depend on which part of the brain is affected. You may lose the ability to speak, to move, or even to recognize faces. Strokes don't give you time to prepare. They strike suddenly. 1 minute, you're healthy. The next, you're fighting for your life. The damage done is often irreversible. Some stroke survivors can recover with therapy and rehabilitation, but many are left with permanent disabilities, paralysis, memory loss, speech impairments, or even death. What makes strokes so terrifying is their unpredictability. You never know when they will hit. You don't get a second chance. If you don't get medical help fast enough, the damage could be permanent. Level 8 shows us the brutal fragility of the brain. Everything can change in a heartbeat, and no matter how healthy you think you are, the brain is always at risk. Level 9. Brain cancer is the slowest and most insidious form of attack. It starts with a small, almost undetectable tumor. At first, you feel nothing. It's a shadow, a silent invader creeping into your brain. But as it grows, it presses against healthy brain tissue, disrupting normal functions. The symptoms of brain cancer vary, but they often start as mild headaches, nausea, or confusion. As the tumor grows, it can lead to seizures, difficulty speaking, or loss of coordination. The brain simply doesn't work the way it's supposed to. The truly terrifying part of brain cancer is how it hides. It's not like a broken bone or a visible wound, it's an invisible enemy, silently growing, silently killing. Even with surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation, the chances of survival are slim. Unlike other cancers, brain cancer often leaves no trace of the person you once were. It's not just the body that's affected, it's your entire identity. You lose your ability to think, to remember, to understand the world around you. And if the tumor isn't caught in time, the end comes quickly. Level 9 shows us the worst side of the brain's fragility. A tumor doesn't just take your body, it takes your mind. Level 10. Locked-in syndrome is the ultimate betrayal of the brain. It's when the mind stays sharp, but the body becomes a prison. This rare condition occurs when the brainstem is damaged, cutting off communication between the brain and the body. The person is fully conscious, aware of everything around them, but completely paralyzed. They can't speak, they can't move, and they can't communicate in any way. Imagine being trapped in your own body. Your mind is still intact. You can think, you can process the world around you, but your body is completely useless. You can't reach out. You can't tell anyone what's wrong. You're stuck in a silent, motionless world. Locked-in syndrome is rare, but it's one of the most terrifying things that can happen to the human brain. The person inside their own mind is still alive, but they're unable to interact with the world. It's a prison of the worst kind. At level 10, the brain is still intact, still functioning, but it's imprisoned by the body. It's the ultimate reminder that the brain isn't just the mind, it's the gateway to everything. When the body breaks down, the brain can still be sharp. But that doesn't make the experience any less horrifying. Each level we've explored today has shown just how quickly and easily everything can change. From a simple concussion to life-altering disorders like epilepsy, dementia, Parkinson's disease, and strokes, the brain is not immune to the forces of time and trauma. The most important thing you can do is protect your brain. Whether it's wearing a helmet, avoiding head trauma, or seeking help when symptoms arise, your brain is the foundation of everything you are. Take care of it, because once it's gone, so are you.